Hello students, in the previous video we tried to understand disadvantage related to RC coupled and direct coupled amplifier. The disadvantage which was there in RC coupled amplifier was removed by using direct coupled amplifier, but direct coupled amplifier also had disadvantage that in the absence of biasing resistance, drift will be observed and a small noise at the input will be amplified at the output. So both this disadvantage can be removed by using differential amplifier. So we will design differential amplifier, we will try to understand the construction part, we will try to understand how the differential amplifier removes the disadvantage related to direct coupled amplifier and the working of differential amplifier. Okay, so this question can be asked for 3 marks, so this is very important. Now in a differential amplifier is also an example of direct coupled amplifier. Why we say it as a direct coupled amplifier? Because output of the first stage is directly connected to the input of the next stage. That type of multi-stage amplifiers will be called as direct coupled amplifier. So as I said, differential amplifier is also an example of direct coupled amplifier. See how the circuit diagram is drawn. Okay, so this is the first transistor and this is the second transistor, and in this case emitter of the two transistor, I will call it as Q1 and Q2, are coupled together. In the previous video when we tried to understand a disadvantage of RC and direct coupled amplifier, we saw that the collector of the first was connected to the base of the second, collector of the second connected to the base of the third, and that is how it was connected. In this case this is also a direct coupled amplifier, but emitter of the two transistors are connected together. Okay, and then these two transistors also has the biasing resistance. The two transistor will also have biasing resistance. I will call it as R1, RB1, R2, RB2, and then this is RC1, this is RC2, this is one output VA, this is one output VB, and as the current will flow through the collector of transistor, I will call it as IC1, and here it will be IC2. Okay, now in all those previous circuits, RC coupled and direct coupled, we used only one power supply. In case of differential amplifier, we will be using two power supply, plus VCC, and there is a emitter resistance RC and minus VCC, a positive supply and a negative supply. Okay, so I will draw it here. It will be like this positive, negative, positive, negative, and here it will be, this is for negative, positive, negative, positive. Okay, so this is plus VCC and this is minus VCC, and the common terminal of these two will be considered as ground. Okay, the common terminal of these two will be considered as ground, which will be the ground for the base resistance. Okay, I will tell you later why these two supplies are necessary. Okay, first let us try to understand how this differential amplifier removes the disadvantage related to direct coupled amplifier. Please recollect what we said for a direct coupled amplifier. For a direct coupled amplifier, what we said is the disadvantage is in the absence of biasing resistance, drift is observed. Now what you can see is in this, both the transistors Q1 and Q2 has biasing resistance R1, RB1, R2, RB2. So of course, if biasing resistance are there, operating point is stable, and if operating point is stable exactly between saturation and cutoff, see this is what we have right? Saturation and cutoff, and the operating point should be exactly at the center, so that both positive as well as negative half cycle should be amplified. So the operating point will be stable because of R1, RB1 and R2, RB2. Okay, so the first disadvantage is removed. Now by this design, what we can see is, now instead of one input one output, we have two inputs and two outputs. Okay, two inputs and two outputs. So the output is the difference between the two input voltage. Okay, that is why it is called as differential amplifier. So now in a differential amplifier, when you apply input at V1, V2 will be ground. If you apply voltage at V2 or input at V2, V1 will be ground. Okay, suppose V2 is ground and input is applied to V1. So this is 1 volt, and here as it is connected to ground, it will be 0 volt. Now suppose if you keep this entire amplifier in a noisy environment. What do you mean by noisy environment? Where the circuit can pick up stray signals. Okay, that is what we have mentioned in the second disadvantage of direct coupled amplifier. So it can pick up a small voltage. Say if it becomes small voltage, say that 0.2 volt, so that 0.2 volt will be common for both the inputs in this case, and the output will be the difference. The output, amplified output, will be the difference between the two. So it will be 1.2 minus 0.2, that will be 1 volt. The signal which is going to amplify will be 1 volt. So any kind of noise or disturbance which will come, it will come as common signal, and the differential amplifier has the ability to reject common signal and amplify only the difference of the two signals, and that is how it got its name as differential amplifier. Okay, it will amplify the difference between the two input signals. So by default, what will happen? The common signal, that is noise, will be always rejected at the input. I hope you have understood. Okay, so both the disadvantage of direct coupled amplifier is removed by using differential amplifier. Okay, now the second part again is very important, that I said instead of one power supply, we are using two power supply, and the common terminal of these two will be connected as ground. Okay, let us imagine, just imagine that, say we have just only one supply and a ground. Okay, so this ground, this is ground, this is ground, all this will be. Now as soon as input is applied, okay, input voltage is applied, this is the input source, right? A source is connected with respect to ground, right? Now if common ground is not used and a normal circuit ground is used, what happens is, as soon as a source is connected, this source comes in parallel with the biasing resistance RB1. Okay, now always whenever our source is designed, we have to make sure that the internal resistance of the source is very high, the output resistance of the source should be low, so that this is the source which will be always designed as if the output resistance of this source is low. That means, see what happens is, now when the source was not connected, current was flowing through R1, the same current was flowing through RB1, and this voltage drop which was produced across RB1 was biasing the base emitter junction of transistor Q1, which is the forward bias junction, right? So if it is properly biased, the operating point will be exactly at stable position, that is between that of saturation and cutoff. Now but as soon as a source is connected with low output resistance, so the output resistance of source comes in parallel with the biasing resistance, and you know current always takes least resistance path. So the current which has to flow through RB1 has got a low resistance path through the source to go to the ground. That means current through RB1 will decrease, which will decrease the biasing voltage or voltage across RB1, which will be decrease the biasing voltage of base emitter junction of Q1. So Q1, the biasing potential will change, either it will go towards saturation or it will go towards cutoff. And as Q1 is directly connected to Q2, any change in Q1 will produce change in Q2. So Q2, biasing condition of Q2 will also change. And will there be a proper amplification which will be given at the output? No, either the positive half cycle will be amplified or the negative half cycle will be amplified. So amplification will not be proper if you always use circuit ground, okay, or you use only one power supply. So what we did is, we instead of using one power supply, we used two power supply, and the common terminal of this terminal will be taken as the ground. Okay, that is the common ground of the circuit. Now, but when the source is connected, this ground is the circuit ground, this is the common ground, so this cannot come in parallel. If they cannot come in parallel, all the input current which was flowing through R1, the same current will flow through RB2, which will keep the voltage across RB1 proper, so that Q1 and Q2 are properly biased. So that is why instead of one power supply, we use two power supply. Okay. So this is about the advantage of differential amplifier and the basic concept of why two power supplies are required in a differential amplifier. Okay. Now, when the circuit is designed, differential amplifier, the circuit should be symmetrical. Okay, symmetrical means RC1 should be equals to RC2, Q1 should be equal to Q2, R1 should be equal to R2, RB1 equals to RB2. Okay, so this is the thing which has to be there, and this negative source minus VCC acts as a constant current source for both Q1 and Q2. So for Q1, this is emitter current IE1, this is for Q2 the emitter current IE2. As minus VCC acts as a constant current source, IE1 plus IE2 should remain constant always. Okay, now as I said, we have two outputs, so depending upon how the output is taken, see, the output can be taken between VA and VB. It can be taken VA with respect to ground, or it can be taken as VB with respect to ground. Okay, so generally that is what we will try to understand. We will take the output voltage VA with respect to ground or VB with respect to ground. So what will be the voltage at VA? For this transistor, the total voltage is plus VCC. Some voltage will be dropped across the resistance and current which is flowing through the collector region, that is RC1 into IC1, remaining all the voltage will be dropped across VA with respect to ground. So VA, the formula for VA will be the total voltage plus VCC minus IC1 into RC1 minus IC1 into RC1. Similarly, VB, it will be total voltage plus VCC minus IC2 into RC2. And in both this equation, what you can see is VCC and VCC, RC1, RC2 are constant. So VA depends upon IC1 and VB depends upon IC2. Okay, so when you apply an input signal, the variation will produce two different outputs at VA and VB. So that is your working of differential amplifier. So this is the construction part of and advantage of differential amplifier. I hope you have understood. In the previous video, we tried to understand construction part of differential amplifier. We said the circuit should be symmetrical, and differential amplifier is nothing but a direct coupled amplifier where the emitter of the two transistors are directly connected to each other. And when we say the circuit should be symmetrical, that means RC1 should be equal to RC2, Q1 should be equal to Q2, R1 equals to R2 and RB1 equals to RB2. I will tell you why this is necessary. And of course, as minus VCC acts as a constant current source, IE1, that is emitter current of Q1 and emitter current of Q2, the addition of these two will be constant. Okay, now let us try to understand the working of a differential amplifier. Of course, as I said, it will have two inputs. So first what we will do is we will apply voltage at V1 so that V2 उस time पे ground पे connect होना चाहिए, and if you apply at V2 then we have to connect V1 as ground, and we have to see what type of output we get at VA and VB. So advantage of differential amplifier is instead of one input one output, you have now two inputs and two outputs. So that is one more advantage of a differential amplifier. Let's say the input is applied, this is the positive half cycle, this is the negative half cycle, this is at V1. Okay, V1, that means voltage applied across here, plus minus. Now as a sinusoidal waveform is applied and input signal is applied to V1, of course it will affect the biasing of transistor Q1 here. Now what happens is during the positive half cycle, the forward bias of PN junction of this base emitter junction of transistor Q1 will increase. During the negative half cycle, the forward bias of this base emitter junction of Q1 decreases. Let us try to understand through a transistor operation. Okay, so this is your say NPN transistor, this is emitter, this is base, this is collector. Emitter base junction should always be forward bias. So for forward bias, the polarity should be like this: negative, positive, negative, positive. Okay, and PN junction, the base collector junction should always be reverse bias. So the polarity should be like this. This is called as VCB, this is called as VEB, that means the forward bias. This is the forward bias voltage, this is the reverse bias voltage. Okay, now this negative terminal will repel the electrons, right? Electrons which will move from N region into P region, which will constitute emitter current IE. Now out of that large amount of electrons which is moving from emitter to base, few electrons will recombine with the holes in P region, which will constitute the base current IB. Remaining all the electrons will enter into collector and get attracted by the positive terminal of the VCB, that will constitute collector current IC. So out of 100%, only 2% goes into base and 98% goes into collector. This we have repeatedly understood. Okay, so we say IE is equal to IC. Now what happens if forward bias voltage is increased? I have explained you this thing when we try to understand transistorized voltage regulator in chapter 2. So what happens if forward bias voltage increase? If forward bias voltage increases, more charge carrier will move out of emitter into base, that means emitter current will increase, and as IE is equal to IC will increase. And if forward bias voltage decreases, what happens is less amount of charge carrier will move out of emitter into base, so IE will decrease, and as IE is equal to IC will also decrease. So this has to be remembered so that we can understand the working of differential amplifier when input voltage is applied at V1 for positive as well as negative half cycle. So what I said, during the positive half cycle, when V1 is applied during the positive half cycle, the forward bias of Q1, the forward bias, that means base emitter junction, is more forward biased, and if it is more forward biased, forward current IE1 increases. So I draw a graphical representation that IE1 increases. As IE1 or IE is equal to IC, so IE1 will be equals to IC1 will also increase. And if IC1 increases, you see what is the equation for VA? VCC minus IC1 into RC1. VCC and RC1 is constant. If IC1 increases, VA decreases, right? VA will decrease. Okay. Similarly, during the negative half cycle, IE1 decreases, therefore IC1 decreases, and if IC1 decreases, VA will increase. Okay, so VA will increase. So now what you can see in the diagram is when input voltage is applied at V1, what you get at VA, you get 180 degree phase shift between input and output. The phase we understood this phase difference or phase angles difference between the two signals in chapter number 1, application of CRO, cathode ray oscilloscope. In that, the fourth application, that is phase difference between the two input signals. That is where we have understood this is these two signals are 180 degree phase shift. Now the working is not done. As IE1 increases, we have mentioned that IE1 plus IE2 should remain constant. So if IE1 increases, to keep the output constant, to keep this value constant, if IE1 increases, IE2 will decrease, because I have told you earlier, any change in Q1 will produce change in Q2 because Q1 and Q2 are directly connected. Okay, so any change in IE1 will produce corresponding change in IE2. That means when IE1 increases, to keep the output constant or to keep the current through the circuit constant, IE2 will decrease. As IE2 is equal to IC2, IC2 will also decrease, and if in this equation IC2 decreases, VB increases, so VB will increase. Okay, similarly during the negative half cycle, as IE1 decreases, IE2 increases, IC2 decreases, IC1 decreases, therefore IC2 increases, and when IC2 increases, VB decreases. Okay, VB decreases. So now for one input which has been applied at V1, we get two outputs, one at VA and one at VB. Okay, one at VA and one at VB, but at VA you are getting 180 degree phase shift, and at V1 you are getting 0 degree phase shift. And if the current which is flowing through both this circuit will be common, or the voltage drop which is produced will be same. So what happens is these two signals are 180 degree out of phase, they will cancel each other and the output will be 0. That means in the absence of input signal, the output at this point should be 0. But as soon as input is applied, we will get two outputs, one 180 degree phase shift, and at VB you will get 0 degree phase shift. So the same thing we can understand by, say we apply voltage at V2. So when you apply voltage at V2, the first thing which will get affect is the base emitter junction of Q2. That means IE2 will change, IC2, as IE2 changes, IE1 will change, IE1 will change, IC1 will change, and when IC1 and IC2 will change, VA and VB will change. So that is what we have to understand. So when input is applied at V2, what you can see is IE2 during positive half cycle, IE2 increases, therefore IC2 will increase. During the negative half cycle, IE2 will decrease, IC2 will decrease. And if IC2 decreases, VB, what happens to VB? VB will increase. Okay, VB will increase. Okay, during the negative cycle, IC2 increases. So if IC2 increases, VB decreases, and during negative half cycle, VB increases. Similarly, as IE2 will change, IE1 will also change. During the positive half cycle, as IE2 increases, IE1 decreases. This is the waveform for IE2, and then IC1 will be exactly similar to what IE1. And if IC1 decreases during the positive half cycle, IC1 decrease, VA will increase. If IC1 increase, VA will decrease. So the waveform at VA will be like this. So what you can see is that when V2 input is applied to V2 and V1 is grounded, input is applied to V2 and V1 is grounded, what you get is you get two outputs, but now at VB you get 180 degree phase shift and VA you get 0 degree phase shift. Okay, so so this is what is the working part of your differential amplifier. Now by all this study we can conclude and we can design the symbolic representation of differential amplifier. Now differential amplifier has two inputs, two outputs and two power supply. The power supply is plus VCC, this is minus VCC, this is V1 and this is V2, this is VA and this is VB. What I will do is I will give sign convention so that we can understand the operation of the differential amplifier right by the symbolic representation. Suppose if I mention that V1 to be as, I will denote it by a negative sign. Okay, now what you can see is when input is applied to V1, what you get at the output at VA 180 degree phase shift. That means when you give positive you get negative, when you give negative you get positive, so output will be exactly 180 degrees. So if you give negative at V1 you get positive at VA. At the same time when the input is given to V1, when you give positive you get positive at output, when you give negative you get negative at the output of VB. That means V1 and VB are in same phase, so I will represent VB as negative. Okay, similarly when V2 is applied, now V2 we will mention it as positive. So when input is applied to V2, what you get at VB 180 degree phase shift, opposite polarity will get. So when positive is given you will get negative at VB, and when positive is given to V2, what you can see is you are getting 0 degree phase shift. So whatever be the polarity here, the same polarity will be here at VA. So this is the symbolic representation of differential amplifier. So we have understood construction, advantages and working of differential amplifier. Now we will use this differential amplifier to design operational amplifier. I hope you have understood. Now next we will try to understand the block diagram of operational amplifier. In the first video itself I have told you that to design operational amplifier the basic building block is differential amplifier. So we have to use differential amplifier. So in the last video we tried to understand the working of differential amplifier, where you have two inputs and two outputs. Okay, so when input is applied at V1 you get 180 degree phase shift at VA and 0 degree phase shift at VB, and similarly when you apply input at V2 you get 0 degree phase shift at VA and 180 degree phase shift at VB. So that was the operation. And one more thing which we have understood in differential amplifier, that it amplifies the difference between the two input signal. That means it will always reject the common signal, and mostly the common signal will arise from the noise. So basically it will remove the noise or the disturbance which was caused by the ambience or ambient environment to the negligible value, to 0. So that is the advantage of differential amplifier, and the ability of the differential amplifier to reject common signal and amplify only the difference between the two input signals is called as CMRR, common mode rejection ratio. Of course it will be a ratio of gain when the inputs are different upon gain when the inputs are common, and of course when the inputs are common the gain should be 0, and if it is 0 anything divided by 0 is infinity. That means CMRR should be very high for a differential amplifier, of course. And as they are example of direct coupled amplifier, differential amplifier is an example of direct coupled amplifier, the voltage gain will also be very high. So for operational amplifier the first block is a differential amplifier. We call it as differential amplifier 1 with two inputs V1 and V2 and two outputs VA and VB. Okay, so and there is one more block called as constant current source. Okay, so this constant current source is nothing but the second power supply, right, minus VCC, which provides constant current for the two emitters of the transistor. So make sure that the operating point of the transistors remains stable, that is between that of saturation and cutoff. So we have a differential amplifier with a constant current source. This is the first stage of operational amplifier. That means operational amplifier will always have two inputs. Okay, now the advantage of using a differential amplifier, that CMRR, you get very high CMRR value and high voltage gain. We will call it as AV, voltage gain. As I've already told you, amplifier is a circuit which amplifies the strength of the input signal at the output. So if it is 2 and input voltage is 2, output voltage is 10, it will be output upon input, which is 5. Though this is the gain factor. So gain factor of differential amplifier is very high. But for designing operational amplifier, the gain should be very large. We need to have an amplifier which amplifies small signals into a very significant value at the output. So what we do is, the second stage of, or the block diagram of operational amplifier is also a differential amplifier. Okay, differential amplifier, I'll call it as differential amplifier 2, but the output is single-ended. That means one output will be grounded and only one output will be continued. Now the advantage of using second differential amplifier is, again, CMRR is infinite and the voltage gain becomes infinite. Using two stage of differential amplifier will increase the voltage gain to almost infinite. That means whatever be the input voltage, the output voltage will be very, very large. Okay, and of course CMRR will be infinite, which is the most important factor of a amplifier circuit. Okay. Now the third stage is called as buffer stage, or it is common collector configuration of transistor. Common collector configuration means where collector is common for both input and output. And when we try to understand the transistor's basic concept, we said that for the common collector configuration, voltage gain is unity. That means it is not used for voltage gain, it is used for current gain. Okay, only used for current gain. So here also it is the basic purpose of this common collector configuration is of course two things: to increase the current factor and it acts as a buffer stage between the second and the fourth stage. I will tell you what exactly it means by buffer stage. Okay, so here the current factor will increase. Okay, voltage gain is already infinite. If you increase the current, power will increase, so power factor will increase in the third stage. This circuit is also called as common collector configuration or emitter follower. Okay, now for this buffer stage or the common emitter configuration, input impedance is very high and output impedance is low. This is high and this is low. Okay, now when I say input impedance, it is the overall resistance at the input stage, and when I say output impedance, it is the overall resistance at the output stage. This is the characteristics of common collector configuration. So at the output stage, what happens is, the output stage is voltage level shifter. Okay, voltage level shifter. That means in the absence of input signal, the output must be 0. If the output is not 0, the output has to brought back to its zero level. Okay, and that process is called as offset null. Please listen to it carefully. What I said, in the absence of input signal, the output must be 0, but there are probability that the output may not be 0. Of course, that if that is not 0, that means that value is unacceptable. There should not be any output voltage, so the output voltage has to be brought back to 0 level, and that is done by voltage level shifter, and the process of making the output to 0 is called as offset null. So basically the buffer stage or the common collector configuration or the emitter follower, what it does is it matches impedance between the second stage and the fourth stage, which is the voltage level shifter, because the common collector configuration has high input impedance and low output impedance, so it will be used for impedance matching. Okay, and here we will take this is what we have done. We have continued with VA and VB has been grounded, so continued with VA. Let's say here we get the output voltage. So now when you draw the symbolic representation of operational amplifier, we will use the symbolic representation of differential amplifier to represent operational amplifier, but here it will have 2 input and only 1 output and 2 power supply, plus VCC and minus VCC. Now what we have done is the 2 inputs will be V1 and V2, and the output we have continued with VA and we have called it as V0. So when input is, suppose this is the terminal, say negative terminal, we call it as inverting terminal. V1 represented by minus sign is called as inverting terminal, because we know when input is applied at V1, what you are going to get at VA will be like this. That means the output will be inverted. There will be a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output. That is what we have understood by the working of differential amplifier. So what you're going to get at input, so this is when the input is applied at V1 like this, what you're going to get at the output is an amplified output, but it will be inverted. Therefore this terminal is called as inverting terminal, right? Similarly V2, when input is applied to V2, what happens is, when input is applied to V2, VB will be 180 degree out of phase, VA will be same phase. As we have grounded VB, we have continued with VA. What you are going to get at the output will be like this. That means you get zero phase difference between input and output. So this V2 is called as non-inverting terminal. Okay, non-inverting terminal, inverting terminal, non-inverting terminal. So this is a symbolic representation of operational amplifier. So that is how you have to remember. If there is a minus sign to a terminal, that terminal will be inverted, because when input is applied to that terminal, the output will be 180 degree out of phase. And when input is applied to the plus terminal, which is called as a non-inverting terminal, there will not be any phase shift. You give positive, you get positive, you give negative, you get negative. So there will be a 0 degree phase shift. So this is the symbolic representation of operational amplifier. Okay, now the characteristics. This question has been asked several times in your board exam. Characteristics of operational amplifier. The first characteristics, what we can see from the block diagram itself, that CMRR is infinite. Second, voltage gain AV is infinite. This is open loop gain. I will explain you what exactly it means, what exactly we mean by open loop gain in the next video, on the next concept. Okay, so these two are very evident, we have already understood. Now differential operational amplifier is designed using differential amplifier, and differential amplifier is nothing but a direct coupled amplifier. And in a direct coupled amplifier, if you draw a graph between gain and frequency, Yes, we have understood gain and frequency. The gain is constant, that means bandwidth is infinite. Okay, so the next is bandwidth is infinite. Fourth, as we have connected common collector configuration and differential amplifier, all this circuit has high input impedance and low output impedance. So input impedance is infinite. Fifth, output impedance is 0. I'm considering ideal characteristics of op-amp, practically no practically. Okay, it is ideal characteristics, that's why I'm giving specific value. Of course input impedance is infinite, of course it cannot be infinite, it will have a certain value but it will be very, very high. Similarly output impedance, it will not be 0, it will have some value but it will be very, very small. And 6 is slew rate. Slew rate is 0. Slew rate is the time taken by the output to reach to its final value as soon as input is changed. इनपुट चेंज करने के बाद में आउटपुट को अपने फाइनल वैल्यू तक पहुंचने के लिए जो टाइम लगेगा, वी कॉल दैट एज स्लीव रेट. Slew rate is 0. That means when the input is changed, immediately the output changes. Okay, so that should be the property, or that should be the ideal characteristics of your operational amplifier or of any amplifier you design. So these are the basic 6 ideal characteristics of operational amplifier, which is of very, very important. Okay, I hope you have understood. Hello students, in the previous video we tried to understand block diagram of operational amplifier, and from that we concluded the symbolic representation of operational amplifier and few ideal characteristics, 6 of which we have understood. The 6 of them are: CMRR is infinite, voltage gain, that is open loop gain, is infinite, input impedance is infinite, output impedance is low, or we can say it is 0, bandwidth is infinite, that means it can amplify all signals, even DC signals, and slew rate is 0. Slew rate means time taken by the output to reach to its final value as soon as input is changed. So of course that time will be 0. In digital we compared that same thing with propagation delay time. So propagation delay time must be 0 in case of operational amplifier. These are the ideal characteristics of operational amplifier. Now before going to the applications of operational amplifier, let us go through few concepts so that the applications, the understanding of applications becomes very easy. Okay, here I have said AV is infinite, that is open loop gain. Let us understand open loop gain, what exactly we mean by open loop gain. Okay, in the previous video we have drawn symbolic representation of op-amp. We have 2 terminals, 2 power supply, plus VCC and minus VCC, and there is the output voltage. Okay, the 2 terminals, this is V1, this is V2. V1 is called as inverting terminal and V2 is called as non-inverting terminal. Okay, why we said that? Because in the inverting terminal, when the input signal is like this, the output will be 180 degree phase shift. Okay, there will be a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output if the input is applied to the minus terminal, which represents the inverting terminal. Whereas in a non-inverting terminal, if the input is applied in a non-inverting terminal, the output will be in the same phase. Therefore we say it is a non-inverting terminal. Basically we have to understand that if you apply minus at the inverting terminal, you will going to get plus, and if you apply plus at the input, positive input to the inverting terminal, you are going to get the negative output. That means there will be a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output. Okay, so this is all about the symbolic representation of operational amplifier. Now let us try to understand what exactly we mean by open loop gain. This is the circuit. Say I have modified this circuit. What I will do is I have applied say plus 12 volt and minus 12 volt as the supply voltage. Now the operational amplifier, let us say we connect it in the inverting mode. In inverting mode, input is applied to the inverting terminal, that is minus terminal, and non-inverting terminal will be grounded. Okay, let's say the inverting input is 2 volt. Okay, 2 volt. So what will be the output voltage? Output voltage will always be, for an amplifier, see this is the say this is an amplifier. So if this is Vi, this is V0, and there is a gain factor. So output voltage is input voltage multiplied by the gain. Okay, so V0 is gain multiplied by the input voltage. And what I said, as you are applying input to the inverting terminal, the output will be 180 degree out of phase. If you are applying positive, what you are going to get is negative. So let's say V0 is equal to minus gain into Vi, where minus sign indicates there is a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output. Okay, so now what is gain? We have clearly mentioned in the ideal characteristics that open loop gain is infinite, so it will be minus infinite times what is Vi, positive value 2 volt. Okay, so what happens is, now the output voltage, of course we can say in the formula the output voltage will be infinite. Of course it cannot be infinite, because in electronic circuit the output will have maximum value of it can reach maximum value to the with respect to the input which has been input supply voltage which has been applied. Here the supply voltage is 12 plus 12 volt and minus 12 volt. See what happens is, here the output will increase. It will keep on increasing infinite times, but what will be the maximum value? It is moving towards negative. As the input is positive, the output will keep on increasing towards negative, as there is a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output. So output will keep on increasing till it reaches minus 12 volts. So the output will be minus 12 volt. That is the maximum negative supply voltage which has been applied to the operational amplifier. Okay, suppose if the input voltage is minus 0.01 volt, okay, minus 0. So again here V0 is equal to minus gain multiplied by input voltage, minus gain is infinite, and Vi is minus 0.01, right? So now what happens is, minus and minus, it will become plus. The output voltage will keep on increasing because the gain is infinite. The output voltage will increase now in positive direction. So the maximum value it can reach is the maximum positive supply, that is plus 12 volt, right? Similarly, suppose if I say this is 10 volt. If the input is 10 volt, again the output will be negative and it will increase up to the negative maximum. The output will be minus 12 volt. Suppose if I say it will be minus 0.1 volt, still the output will keep on increasing. Now that is minus, the output will be positive, so output will increase in the positive direction infinite times till it reaches the maximum positive supply, that is plus 12 volts. So what you have understood by this example is, the output is either plus 12 volt or minus 12 volt in generalized term, because the supply voltage can be plus minus 15 volt, plus minus 18 volt, plus minus 10 volt, plus minus 20 volt. So in generalized term, the output will be either positive saturation, that is plus VCC, or negative saturation, minus VCC. So can we say that the circuit which we have designed is working as an amplifier? See, in an amplifier you should have a finite gain. As I said, for example, if the input voltage is 2 volt, output voltage is 10 volt, so gain will be here 10 upon 2, which will be say 5, right? So gain is 5. So if you design an amplifier, you should have a finite gain. But here what is happening? The output is either plus VCC or minus VCC. If you are considering the plus VCC and minus VCC as plus 12 volt and minus 12 volt, so output will be either plus 12 volt or minus 12 volt for any input voltage. So this is what is the disadvantage of open loop gain. Open loop gain is infinite. Very large gain is there, but it is of no use, because if you have to use the circuit as an amplifier, the gain should be finite. Okay, so there we come across this next part, which is called as CLOSED, closed loop gain. Okay, in closed loop gain, what we do is, again what we will do is, we will connect the operational amplifier in an inverting mode. Inverting mode means non-inverting terminal should be grounded, input should be applied to the inverting terminal. This is output, this is plus VCC, this is minus VCC, and some part of the output should be connected back to the input through a resistance. We call it as RF, which is feedback resistance. Okay, which is called as feedback resistance. So now what happens is, feedback resistance, of course there will be an input current, say I, and there is an feedback current, which is IF. You can select a large value of feedback resistance so that II and IF are same, the feedback current are same, and they are meeting at this point. This point is called as summing point S. Now at this point what happens is, this II and this IF, as you are connected in inverting mode, there will be a phase shift of 180 degrees. Some part of this output will be connected back. So now at this point two currents are meeting which are opposite in phase. Okay, opposite in phase, and when the phase opposition is there, they will cancel at this point. So at this point current will be 0. Okay, current will be 0, and if current is 0, the voltage at this point will be 0, and that is why this point, of course we will understand it later, this point is also called as virtual ground concept. Okay, so this is your closed loop gain. So gain of an operational amplifier when there is a when some part of the output is connected back to the input through feedback resistance. Okay, so what actually happens is, when these two input combines at this point, the gain is suppressed, and if the gain is suppressed, the output voltage will be a finite value. It will not be positive saturation or negative saturation. Understood? Here the gain was infinite, therefore the output was either plus VCC or minus VCC. But if the gain is suppressed by a negative feedback, this is called as negative feedback, because these two signals will cancel at this point because of the phase shift, 180 degree phase shift, and as they cancel each other, this type of feedback is called as negative feedback. So in closed loop gain, we apply negative feedback, and when negative feedback is applied, gain is suppressed, and if gain is suppressed, so output voltage will also be less or finite. So that is the purpose of purpose of understanding closed loop gain. Okay, so this is open loop gain and this is the closed loop gain. Now here what we do is, in open loop gain, which is your AOL, okay, AOL, open loop gain, is the gain when there is no feedback. That means here what we try to understand is the gain will be the output voltage divided by the difference between the two input voltage, which is also specified as error voltage. Okay, error voltage, so we specify it as V error, or it is denoted by V. Okay, so AOL is V0 upon V, and ACL, it is nothing but, as the gain is finite, it is nothing but the output voltage upon the input voltage. Okay, so you have to remember these two formulas. Okay, open loop gain and closed loop gain. So this is all about the concept of open loop gain and closed loop gain. In the next video we will try to understand virtual ground concept when operational amplifier is connected in inverting mode. I hope you have understood. Next we will try to understand virtual ground concept, which is nothing but the extension of what we have understood in the previous in the previous section of open loop gain and closed loop gain. Okay, the virtual ground concept is true when the op-amp is connected in inverting mode. Again, it is very important that you understand from the name itself, inverting mode. That means input should be applied to the inverting terminal, non-inverting terminal should be grounded. Okay, and some part of the output should be connected back to the inverting terminal. Okay, this is RF and input will be given through RI, and this is VI with respect to ground. Okay, so what happens is some current will flow as soon as VI is applied through RI. Some current will flow, let that current be II. Okay, let that current be II. This is the output voltage, and there will be two power supply, plus VCC and minus VCC. Okay, now II, and there will be some feedback current, that is IF. Now what happens is, suppose this is the II, this is the current II. Now some part of the RF value will be selected much larger, so that only some part of output voltage is connected back to the input. Now when the input is like this, the output will be 180-degree phase shift, and some part of the output is connected back to the input here. So now at this point, the junction point of RI and RF, let this point be called as S, and we specify this as summing point. Now at this point, what happens is, these two current of equal magnitude but opposite in phase, they will cancel each other, and when they cancel each other, that means at this point the current will be zero, and if current is zero, the voltage drop or the potential at that point will be zero. Okay, so even though this point is not directly connected to ground, but still the voltage at this point and current at this point is zero, and that is why it is called as virtual ground. Now there are two things, normal ground and virtual ground. In normal ground, the voltage at that point is zero but current is infinite, but in virtual ground, voltage and current both are zero. Okay, so that is what we have to understand. So this is the virtual ground concept. So hereafter, when we understand the applications of op-amp, whenever op-amp will be connected in inverting mode, I will consider this summing point at virtual ground. That means the potential at point S, I will consider it to be zero. Okay, we can easily identify. See this point. Now in this is the operational amplifier as inverting mode. Now difference between the two input voltage is called as V error, which is specified as V, and V error will be minus V0 upon A. Of course, output will be 180-degree phase shift with the input, so it will be minus V0 upon A. And what is A? A is open loop gain. Okay, A is AOL, open loop gain, and open loop gain tends to infinite, and anything divided by infinity will be zero. So potential at point S is zero. Current, we have already proved that current will be zero, current at that point will be zero. So if current and voltage at that point is zero, that is why this point is called as virtual ground, though it is not directly connected to ground, but the potential and current at that point is zero. So this is virtual ground concept, which we will apply in all the applications wherever it is necessary. I hope you have understood.